What about sort of tech then? I mean, a lot of marketeers kind of focus on MarTech, the marketing tech stack. So what are your thoughts on that? How important is it to get something in place from the get-go? What sort of tools do you typically suggest?
Yeah, look, I think a lot of companies think that tech is going to save their life. It won't. How you use the tech and your approach, your methodology to actually getting in front of more prospects is what's going to save your life. So I know lots of companies that'll be like, we just need to invest in SalesLoft, and we need to get Salesforce, and we need to get HubSpot from a marketing perspective, and we need to get Cognism, and we need to get another tool which has got it. We're going to need Gong as well to record all of our calls. And it's like, you haven't even started picking up the phone yet, lads. You know, so before you start investing in massive amount of technology, start doing the basics right. Yeah. Basics being on the sales and SDR side, make sure that the follow-up is okay. Are they picking up the phones? A lot of companies nowadays don't pick up the phone. They don't like it. Company or individuals don't like cold calling. It's something that I grew up doing, and it's part of most sales roles. But in the past couple of years, it's dropped a lot, and it's something that works time and time again. Are you surrounding prospects on LinkedIn? Again, on your sales side, are you doing that correctly? Have you gotten somebody in maybe to show people how to do it on the sales team? There are people out there that do that, right? Yeah. How's your email game? Is it strong or not? Email is like, typically what you'll see is they're just doing the email, right? And not doing any of the other things, right? And so what happens there is you're just firing out massive amount of emails and not getting anything in return, okay? So if you try to surround prospects by using those three channels, get those basics right. Then on the marketing side, if you will need to start investing in some technology if you want to build out your total addressable market. There are more expensive tools and more cheaper tools out there, but if you want to look at like some tools that I would recommend, for example, for building that TAM, I typically use Cognism. Cognism is their data is very solid, right? It gives you account data. It also gives you intent data about certain search terms that are coming up from certain companies online. You can also get contact data from it. And it comes in a good chunk cheaper than the likes of ZoomInfo. ZoomInfo is very expensive. If you want to go even cheaper than that, there are things like Seamless AI that you'll be able to use. Lusha, for example, which is another tool that you can use to build out that total addressable market, and then also give contacts across over to the sales org as well. Okay, so like if you want to invest there, then you have your total addressable market built, and then all you really need to do is take that and then start firing on different channels. I would suggest that you should probably have some level of marketing automation platform, whether that's a HubSpot or whatever it is. Like you don't need to have it from day one, right? Don't get me wrong. You don't need to have all the bells and whistles from day one. What you do need to have is somewhere where leads are flowing into that you're able to do some qualification for and then get them in front of the sales team. Yeah. That's the most important thing. And if you do that via Slack, great. You can create a Zapier integration between something and Slack, and leads just appear in Slack. And then it's then maybe you can have it into your whatever CRM you're using. On the sales side, I would recommend tools such as Leadfeeder. Like it's a very, very cheap tool to use, and it will just give you some insights in terms of which companies are visiting your site, to give you some prioritization in terms of which contacts or which companies to call first, right? More than that, starting, you don't need. Like when you get a little bit bigger, you can go for like some outreach. When you have a scalable model, like when you have something that's working and you're like, oh no, now we need to start scaling this and getting this out to more people and casting a wider net. Like let's say, for example, you have a sequence of different events that you do as a salesperson. Touch point on LinkedIn, phone call, email, whatever it might be. And you want to scale that and get more contacts added to that specific sequence so that you're constantly doing this replicable thing over and over again, seeing which sequences are working against other SDRs and whatnot. Then something like Outreach or SalesLoft or SalesView or even HubSpot sequences will work well for you, right? But don't invest in that thinking just by having that all of a sudden you're going to start booking meetings all over the place. It's not how it works. Get the basics right. Then if you need to scale it or when you have to scale it, then invest in that technology.
Well, those companies are very good at their marketing, so they would certainly have you believe that they are the silver bullets. But yeah, in essence, learn to drive and then buy the car.
Absolutely. And so don't get me wrong. I think these companies are great. But they're only as good as the information that you put into them. So that's the most important part. You will only see good results if you fuel it with good material. Shitty material will equal shitty results. Sorry, you'll have to bleep that.
Don't worry about that. I'm sure our audience can cope with it. So